Absolute truths. It is important to stress that science is often said to not produce absolute truths, but this is based on metaphysical nonsense. Firstly, to claim that there are no absolute truths is a self-refuting statement. That is to say, there is absolutely no absolute truth is a contradiction of logic. Stating there is no absolute truth is itself a statement of absolution. This is one of the reasons why scientific relativism is not a good philosophy, because its core idea contradicts itself. Secondly, to claim that truth is relative to a viewpoint means that reality can be shaped by our thoughts, which is a very superstitious way of thinking. Even if our interpretation of reality is limited by our knowledge of it, reality is not subject to our opinions of it. Instead, it is we that are subject to reality and must act according to its fundamental laws. While we may misunderstand what is real or form incorrect conclusions about reality, reality is what it is. So there are absolutes that define reality. For example, I can be certain there are absolutes such as death. This is because if a person's body ceases to function, that person dies. We can be absolutely certain an individual with no pulse or brain function is dead, because their body begins to decompose. We do not recover from the state of death. We can therefore be absolutely certain a person who has no pulse or brain function is dead. Now, there are some people who will try to claim that the above statement is circular reasoning, but this is a mistake of understanding what circular reasoning is. Circular reasoning only takes place in cases of opinions which are not supported by evidence or the lack thereof. You do not have to take my word for it that people die when the body ceases to function, because it has been confirmed through the mountain of empirical evidence that is human history. Also, during the course of your life, you will likely encounter a deceased person if you have not already done so. On top of this, there are no cases of a person reviving once the brain has ceased to function. Circular reasoning leads to no new information gathered, which is why it is to be avoided in logical discussion. Reasoning that leads to new information is therefore not a logical fallacy, and consequently not a circular reasoning fallacy. I have noticed that the argument of circular reasoning is often incorrectly applied to arguments when a person is unable to refute well-established facts of reality and has no other means to do so other than to enter into an argument based in metaphysics, such as with the statement, "Humans cannot know absolute truths." Through analysis of empirical evidence, we can deduce truths regardless of who or what was around to make the observations. The universe is not random. You are not in danger of suddenly floating away into the sky by the random alteration of the universe's laws, nor is the sun prone to vanish out of existence for a day before returning. You cannot walk through concrete walls, and you cannot pour a glass of water out and suddenly it is now wine. Reality has stable laws that are not capricious, and which humans can recognize. Now, there are many wrong conclusions a person can make when the relationship between science and logic is misunderstood. The scientific method is based on logical structure. If the premises of an argument are supported by proof, then circular reasoning is not a defect to an argument, and claiming that humans cannot know absolute truths is not supported by any evidence. The foundation of reason lies in the belief that there are such things as constants and immutable laws, and there is evidence to indicate this assumption is correct, while there is none to indicate it is mistaken. So we can safely conclude that absolute truths do exist and can be discovered by humans. Now, some scientists have a tendency to be unwilling to claim absolute truths exist, because it is beneficial for scientists to have a skeptical mind when approaching research. But it serves us no good to be humble about how there are indeed objective truths in reality, which we can be absolutely certain of and that humans are capable of realizing. Wisdom is required to determine what is absolutely true, and what is merely based on our current interpretation of reality. There are certain things which at best humans can only approximate the truth of, and there are other things which we can be sure are absolute truths. Determining the difference requires a clear understanding of our limitations to observe reality, and recognizing that these limits change as we improve our technological capability to sense and evaluate reality. It may indeed be the case that it is difficult to identify absolute truths using the scientific method in some instances where little information is available about a particular subject that the scientific method is being applied to investigate. However, this does not mean absolute truths do not exist, because the existence of absolute truths is not contingent on the scientific method. The method is a tool for inquiry, and it does not create anything in the universe. Concerning the subject of morality, there are no absolute truths. This is because morality is a mental construct. Morality is based on ideas. We can, however, use logic to deduce which are the best actions to reach a specific desired conclusion. That is to say, we can realize the best choices in any given situation are dependent on what goal is desired to be reached by the person, and that such choices should be informed by facts. Therefore, the best moral choices are relative to our intentions for our morality. It is my opinion that when we recognize absolute truths that are relevant to our goals, we become better able to make useful decisions to accomplish our goals. This is the value of absolute truths in chivalric humanism, and this is why we have discussed the topic.